It's not really new, although it is. I mean, people have not obtained it as yet. But as you noticed, when Keith's dart hit the board, it looks as if the flight was loose. It wobbled around. But in actual fact, what it is, the part where the point goes into the barrel, the actual hole is bigger than the point. So the point wobbles from side to side. It's shaped like a pin. And it's got a little head inside here. And on top of the head is a spring that goes tight up to the stem. This makes it so the point can retract. So the theory is that when it hits a wire, it ricochets on the wire and then goes over and in. You have to see this through a very slow film to be able to understand how it actually works. But about 10 years ago, or around that time, I did stay in someone's house in Sweden called Kent Seagram, who actually designed that dart. He's the man that made it many, many years ago. And I threw a few darts with it, and quite honestly, I don't know whether people can remember when Keith played me in the World Championship, 1983, the Embassy World Championship, that he didn't lose any darts at all, and yet I lost something like 18. So everyone said, well, you should get some of those darts. But then we saw in the semi-final and the final, Keith lost 20 or 30 as well. So it's got things in its favour and things against. Personally, the very fact that it wobbles when it hits the board puts me off. If I was throwing, I'd think, is it the point or is the dart loose? And so I wouldn't throw again at it thinking I would knock the dart out. So I'd tend not to throw at it and throw somewhere else. It's a fine dart. Keith's done extremely well with it, so all we can say, it's a new development in the game. Maybe we'll progress past that, I don't know. The rules, incidentally, of darts had to be changed to allow that dart in, because the rules did say that a dart must have a fixed point to the barrel. That rule has now been changed because obviously there's other firms in America that make a bottle-head dart, which is a very similar thing where the point goes in and out without a spring. So that's another aspect of darts, what we see as the game progresses. Everyone's trying to eliminate the wire on the dartboard, so there's nothing to it. That's the basic thing at the end of the day. The bigger the target, the less obstructions, the more you score.
But surely, John, a dart coming out is probably the biggest excuse for a dart player to lose a match. Obviously not to win a match, but to lose a match. Isn't that part and parcel of the game of darts, as you would expect?
Yes, I would, but if the darts are going to develop into things where we've got spring-loaded points and we're going to have these flights like I've got here that go in the side, and many, many other things that's going to help the game, little caps that can go on the top of the stem to stop the dart going into the top of it, then the manufacturers owe it to themselves to try and reduce the size of the wires on a dartboard. It's not for me to even say that they can do that, because I know there's been many, many experiments to try and reduce the thickness of the wire, to try and get it thinner so that there's less to it. But at the same time, it moves, and if the dart sticks in a 1 and bends to the left, and in theory it moves the wire over, you've actually hit a 20. But the wire's telling you it's in a 1. So they have to have it rigid, obviously, to separate the 1 from a 20, or a 6 from a 10. It's as simple as that, really.
Well, we've covered, really, the history of darts on one table, haven't we, really?
Well, we'd like to think we have.
As
We'd like to
darts
think we have. That's right. There's many, many points finer points that we can't really go into fully, for the simple reason that, as I said before, we'd need a table 300 yard long to get them all on, to go through it. But I think we've covered the basic from a fella buying his set of darts, or a ladies play darts, in a local shop, taking them home and playing on the board. We've covered that. We're almost to the actual part where you throw the dart.
So our champion, our projected champion, is just a little bit further along the road to his championship, shall we say, by choosing the right dart. It is obviously the tool of the trade, and it's a very, very important one.
It's one that he may not get right for 10 years. I'm still trying. I've been playing 17 years. Thousands of titles and trophies and competitions lost and won behind me. But to quote Jack Charlton when he retired from England, he said he played over 80 times for England, yet he was still learning how to play the game when he finished. I think that's what it's all about. You try and improve all the time. Keep trying to improve, get better. Maybe it'll work. So, as I said before, sometimes you'll make the wrong decision. You find out the dart that you threw well with last night, all of a sudden you can't do it. That's you, that's not the dart.
That's right.
If you get a set you like, stick to it and improve on your own throw. It's as simple as that.
Yeah. We've got one more item on our table, John, that I'd like to highlight. And of course, this is a very, very decorative. It looks a little bit like a lady's purse, dare I say, John. Can we just see what the champion dart player actually carries around with him in his dart case?
Well, I don't think he carries one of these, to be quite honest. I'm fortunate by going to America and a lot of other places where people want to give you little mementos to bring home. So I personally am very lucky that I pick a very nice dart case up, something that is made of leather. It was made by an American, and as you can see, it's got almost everything in. The darts go into the top, the flights go into the side, there's a little sharpening stone. Always carry a sharpening stone, every dart player. It's no good having a blunt point because it's bounced off a wire, hit the floor, squared the end of the dart off, and you're running around trying to find a stone to sharpen it. These cost about 5p. You buy your own. You make sure you've got one. You've always got one. A dart player that hasn't got one, then he doesn't deserve to be winning. In here, you've got your spare stems. It all folds neatly into a pocket or wherever. The thing is, never leave them around because people are likely to walk away with it because they look so good.
Yeah.
Sometimes a 20p wallet is the best thing to have a £20 set of darts in because it's the wallet they take, unfortunately, and not the darts.
Always when playing competitions, John, spare set of flights, spare set of canes, just in case of emergencies?
Well, always. They do break. They're not made to last forever because they're made to move out of the way, as I've shown. And flights with deep grooves on darts, as I've said before, can rub the end, and we're talking a minimum, if it costs 50p a week, that's again back to the cost of what we've got so far. We've got a dartboard at £16, we've got a set of darts, anything around £10 minimum. We've got a couple of spare sets of flights, so we're looking at £35 and we're on our way. And we can play for years with that.
As you say, indeed. Well, I am on my way. I've now been told how to set up a dartboard. I know what distance I've got to throw from. I've got a better insight into what kind of darts I should go for. Does that now make me a potential champion, or have I now got to learn to throw them?
I think now you're on your way. Now you need, obviously, to know the stance, the grip, where we stand behind that hockey that we've talked about earlier, how to line up to the dartboard. I'm taking in many, many little things, and the only way we can really do that is we'll go across to the board and illustrate a few what I think the grip and stance should be.
Let's do it exactly then.
Well, Phil, we've got the dartboard in the right place, we've got the throw, we know they're all correct. We've got a